So today we're comparing two THRUNITE Catapult flashlights. On the left here we have the V6 version 2, which is the Catapult V6 SST70. All right, you can see on the box here, this one is the Desert Tan limited edition version in cool white. All right, we're comparing that to the THRUNITE Catapult Mini, which is really cool. And this one is the black one in cool white. So first thing I want to do is pop these out. See what it comes with the light. We have our paperwork, a little warning here in a couple different languages. It says, please screw down the light head and tail cap tightly before use. We have the light, charging cable, and accessories pouch. All right, let's put that off to the side here. All right, nicely wrapped. So there's the Catapult V6 SST70 in Desert Tan. Very nice sheath here. All right, and then we're going to take a quick look at the Catapult Mini. Same thing, we have the warning. All right, 4 different languages. Please screw down the light head and tail cap tightly before use. They ship these with the circuitry unconnected. This way it doesn't drain the battery and it's safe to ship. Okay, so once you receive these lights, you want to tighten it down to connect that battery with the circuit so that you can use the light. All right, inside we have the light. And on the bottom we have our paperwork, charging cable, and of course accessories pouch. So right off the bat you can see the size difference between these two flashlights. These are both extremely capable lights. The full-size Catapult has a lot more power, a lot more battery in there, whereas the Mini is just that. It's a very small version of it. But what makes this super unique is that lens, which we'll talk about in just a moment here. First, I want to go over some of the specs and prices. The full-size Catapult V6 sells for $75. Just depends on when you watch this video and where you're buying it, but that is the going price for it right now. And the Catapult Mini sells for about $50. All right, so here's the paperwork for the V6 SST70. All right, open this up. I just want to show you the output and run times. All right, this is also in multiple languages. Let me zoom in here. You can see the highest output for this light is 2,836 lumens. All right, and that is going to last 220 seconds, and it's going to drop down to 1,313 lumens and last 89 minutes on a full charge. All right, then we have high, 1,417 lumens, medium's 270 lumens, low is 31 lumens, firefly mode is 0.3 lumens, and then our strobe function is 1,120 lumens. All right, so next we have the Catapult Mini here. Same thing with the paperwork. All right, open this up. There's a couple different languages in here. So the Catapult Mini highest output is 680 lumens, which will last 70 minutes. The high mode is 235 lumens. Medium is 96 lumens. Low is 21 lumens, Firefly is 0.5 lumens, and the strobe is 680 lumens. Now as far as some other specs, going back to the full-size Catapult, you can see the LED in here is the SST70. All right, you can see that this is 138 millimeters by 58 millimeters by 33.5 millimeters, and it weighs 203 grams. Now let's compare that to the Mini Catapult here, okay? The LED in the Mini Catapult is an Osram LED. All right, and the dimensions are 80.98 millimeter by 40.4 millimeter by 26 millimeter, and the weight is 87.5 grams. I thought this is pretty neat. I saw these on the THRUNITE website. These are schematics basically showing the parts. All right, so first we're looking at the full-size Catapult V6 version 2. All right, so we have the tail cap, obviously the battery, our body, which is made of aluminum. There's a waterproof O-ring here. Then we have our reflector, then the LED housing, and then our lens, okay? The switch is obviously on the side, and then that's a front view. This is just really cool. They do these with a lot of their lights on the website, so you can basically see what the parts are without having to take it apart. So compared to the Catapult Mini here, all right, we have the tail cap, battery, obviously the body, which is also aluminum, all right? But this is what's really interesting about the Catapult Mini here is it has a PMMA TIR, okay? This is basically like a magnifying glass, all right? Then we have a lens that's in front of that as well. Then an O-ring, and then of course our front cap. So taking a look at the head of lights, you can see how different they really are. On the left here, there's Catapult, the full size. You can see we have a large reflector, the LED is all the way in the bottom, and that light is dispersed throughout the entire head of the flashlight. As opposed to the Mini here, where we basically have a very tight cone towards the center. That's why all this light is focused right at that center. Really, really interesting, especially getting outside and using this light, which we'll show at the end of this video here. Now, as far as using the lights, the switch is on the side. In the off position, if you push and hold, we have our Moonlight Mode, okay, which is the lowest output. All right, you can shut that off. Pushing the button once, it'll turn on. You'll see the battery indicator on the side, so that should be blue when you're charged up. When it goes red, it just means you have to charge it. All right, if I push and hold, it'll cycle through low, medium, high. All right, at any point in time, you can double click for turbo mode. And then once it's in turbo mode, double click again for strobe mode. Okay, if it's in an off position, you would do it 4 times. And it'll go right to strobe. Okay, the Catapult Mini here, same thing, push and hold. We have our Moonlight Mode, which again is 0.2 lumens higher, a little bit brighter than the full size. But same thing where you just push it once, it'll turn on. Push and hold, it'll cycle through low, medium, and high. It'll just keep ramping until you let go and pick your position you want. So low, medium, high. And same deal, double click for your turbo, which is the highest output. Now the difference here with the turbo is that you don't double click and then double click again. For the THRUNITE Catapult Mini here, you're going to just hit it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, for that strobe mode. Okay, that's how they differ between the UI and how you use these lights. Now using both lights, they're both very impressive, but they do serve different purposes. All right, having the full-size Catapult V6, this thing is a monster. It has so much light that's thrown out there, and even though it's a more focused beam, at distance it widens quite a bit, okay? And you also have a lot of spill, so a lot of light that's being thrown, to the sides and all around that center hotspot. When you're talking about the Catapult Mini, this has, again, because of this lens system, it has a much more focused beam. It's not quite as bright, but it is super, super compact. I mean, it is crazy how small this thing is. You could drop this in the pocket, it wouldn't bother you at all, whereas even though you can put this in the pocket, it's quite hefty. Okay, that's why it does come with its own sheath, because it's preferable to carry this on the belt. But if you did want a pocket light, this thing is awesome. It's super surprising how much light this really does put out. And because it's so focused, it really reaches very, very far. Now, when you're kind of close to something, it does still have some spill, but inherently, because it's not as bright as the full-size version, it doesn't have as much spill. But in testing both of these lights outside, you can certainly get around and see what you have to. This is just hyper-focused. It's such a tight beam. It's like a laser beam. All right, so this is very advantageous if you just want a tiny little pocket light, but you really want to reach out there. So I'm out here testing the THRUNITE Catapult V6 SST70. We're going to go right into turbo mode. All right, you can see the lawn here, following that all the way down to where that tree is on the water's edge. That is about 50 yards away. Plenty of throw. So I go across the water. You can see the other side of the pond there. That's over 100 yards. All right, into that tree line. Lots of throw, but there's still plenty of spill. Because of all the light that's pumping out of here, you can see the entire area here lights up the whole lawn, but you still have enough concentrated beam to really reach out. All right, that other small field in between the trees there, that's over 120 to 130 yards away. It lights up the entire little area in case I'm looking for animals or something. It's very easy to see. All right, so I come down the lawn, push and hold the button, change the modes. So here is low, push and hold. We have medium, then we have high. Of course, double tapping, we go into turbo mode. Very impressive though. Tons of throw with plenty of spill. So that is the THRUNITE V6 SST70. Very impressive. And then of course we have the lowest mode. If I push and hold this while it's off, you can see on my hand here, if you're up close, need to see something and really want to reserve that battery power, lasts a very, very long time. Now we have the THRUNITE Catapult Mini. All right, put this right on turbo. All right, you can see it down the lawn here. Has a very concentrated beam, and it's surprising how much this actually throws out for this teeny tiny little light. It's like a little laser beam. You can see down to the water's edge, 50 yards again, all the way across. That's 100 yards. All right, up into those treetops down there. I mean, it's really amazing how much you could see. There's not as much spill as the bigger brother, the full Catapult V6, the SST70 that we're comparing it to. So there's less spill on this light, but there's still ambient light around that beam. So I could still see very easily all around it. It's just very concentrated. I've never seen a light quite like this. It's really, really cool. Again, how small this is and how far this reaches out. You can see the top of those trees over there. Pretty amazing. All right, to reach out to 100 yards and be able to fit in the pocket easily. Very, very cool. So on the ground here, and push and hold so we can change our modes to low, medium, high, and then double click back to turbo. Okay, when this is off, just like its big brother, push and hold, and we have our low light mode. But what's interesting is because of the reflector that's in here, the low light mode is even more concentrated and appears brighter, all right, than its big brother. Very cool. Okay, here's a different angle on this THRUNITE V6 SST70, the Catapult. All right, right in turbo mode. Right now, I'm probably 20 feet from the brush here. All right, so being a little bit closer to something, you could see the center is still concentrated, but it's a smooth beam, so that you have enough spill here to see a wide area. Being about 20 feet from the brush, it's extending roughly, I don't know, 25, 30 feet wide. All right, as I go up, I can see all the way into that tree line, and those trees are at least 50 to 60 yards away. But it lights up the entire tops of those trees, so it's very easy to see. So I push and hold. We'll start off on low. So this is what we're getting on low. So a little bit less concentrated in the middle and more spill here. Push and hold to medium. Plenty of light to see everything you need to see. But as we go to high, it's even brighter, of course. And then again, turbo gives you plenty of light. So here's the Catapult Mini. All right, different view over here. Again, about 20 feet away from this brush. You can see it's much more concentrated in the middle. However, you still have ambient light all around, okay, that it spans at least 20 or 30 feet. So anywhere that I'm pointing this, I still see all around this very focused beam here. As I reach up into the tree line, still reaches very easily all the way up to the top of those trees. So if I'm trying to spot something out there, especially an animal, it'd be very easy to do. All right, pushing and hold this. We'll try on low. Low light mode here, even though it's pitch black outside, I could still be able to make my way around. All right, so I have a longer run time here. Again, super concentrated, unlike its big brother because of that lens, but still enough light to get everything done that I would need to get done. But of course, I can pump that up to medium or high, and again, the turbo mode. Just really handy light, especially for its size. It is extremely impressive how small this thing is and how much that reaches out. Okay, so I'm about 30 feet away from a 2-car garage door. This is the THRUNITE V6 SST70 on turbo. All right, just to give you an idea of the beam and how wide it is. All right, I put it down to its low mode, then medium, then high. Might give you an idea of that beam. And there's turbo again. So here is the THRUNITE Catapult Mini, again on this 2-car garage door. That's the turbo. All right, you can see how concentrated that beam is right there. All right, but you still see the ambient light throughout the entire garage door. All right, it's actually as wide as the entire garage. Now let's try low. All right, still ambient light lights up the entire front of the garage. Then medium, just a little brighter. The high, a little brighter so. And then back to that turbo. All right, so now I want to compare both lights on this 2-car garage here. All right, so on the right, we have the Catapult Mini. You can see very defined beam shot. On the left, these are both on turbo right now. On the left, we have the full-size Catapult V6 SST70. Not only can you see the beam shot on the left is much wider, as opposed to the very concentrated beam shot on the right,
But you can also maybe notice the difference in colors on the LEDs. The Catapult Mini has a very slightly cool, slightly off-white bluish tint, all right? And the full-size Catapult V6 has a more pure white tint, all right, in comparison there. All right, if I hold both of them down, you can see we have low, hold them down, medium, and I have to bring that one back up to high. There we go. So now they're both on high, and then back to turbo. All right, so this might give you a better idea of how different these beams are. Both very useful lights for different reasons.